Bosses warned today that hospitality firms need support in the next 24 hours as venues prepare to shut their doors in the face of dwindling customer numbers, with morning rush hour traffic in London today falling to its lowest level since the third coronavirus lockdown began. Offices and city centres have been abandoned as Omicron cases continue to soar across Britain, with many businesses now working from home in the run-up to Christmas after the government latest work from home if you can advice, leaving roads empty and public transport barely used. Pubs and restaurants across the UK have also been forced to close amid rising COVID cases, with several reporting that they do not have enough staff available to continue serving food and drink over the busy festive period. The operator of the Real Greek and Franco Manca restaurant chains called for emergency rescue packages regardless of whether the government introduces new measures to stop the spread of COVID. And the boss of trade body UK Hospitality said as many as 10,000 sites could close if support is not announced imminently. The group said 54% of venues were down more than 40% in revenue last weekend, with 1 in 5 businesses down more than 60%. A tourism alliance poll also found a third of pubs, bars and restaurants have no cash reserves and 10% of pubs and 14% of restaurants are therefore very likely to fail. The congestion figure for the 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. morning rush hour in London today was 21%, according to TomTom data. This was the lowest level of congestions for the morning rush hour on a working weekday in the capital since January 8. Similar trends were seen across the UK, with Newcastle seeing congestion fall from 51% to 15% in a week, the most extreme example in the country. Liverpool saw congestion fall from 58% to 18% in a week, and Birmingham went from 55% to 26%. Transport for London said there were 660,000 entries or exits on the tube up to 10 a.m. this morning, down 35% week on week, and down 46% over a fortnight. There were 720,000 boarding taps on buses for the same period this morning, down 38% week on week. However, the tubes are at 58% of pre-pandemic levels and buses at 77% of pre-pandemic levels. This is higher than last Monday, December 13th, when they were 46% and 71% respectively, and the main reason for this is that the schools breaking up for the Christmas holidays has a big impact. Meanwhile, takeaway sales have surged in suburbs amid the latest work-from-home guidance. Hospitality leaders said customers seeking delivery had skyrocketed outside major areas following the new restrictions. They said orders away from central London have gone up as employees left the capital for Christmas. It comes as businesses demanded a roadmap back to normality as they faced another hammer blow due to the curbs. Bosses said they needed support in the form of grants, rates relief or VAT relief to keep them afloat as the pandemic drags on. And the Nighttime Industries Association released survey results revealing 1/3 of venues fear closure within a month and 1/5 of businesses fear they could lose their entire workforce without government support. And London's Natural History Museum announced today it will be closing from Tuesday until December 28 due to front-of-house staff shortages which have been impacted by COVID-19 infections and isolation requirements. Elsewhere in Britain's COVID-ravaged Christmas, the PM was under growing pressure last night not to impose lockdown restrictions that will ruin Christmas. Dominic Raab defended Boris and Kerry Johnson after they were pictured partying in the No. 10 Garden, Winter infections soar across Europe amid the spread of COVID variant Omicron as countries bring in curbs. Ministers consider slashing quarantine period for people who test positive for COVID from 10 to 7 days. Britain recorded 82,886 COVID cases, a rise of 32,473, or 64.4% in 7 days, and some 45 deaths. Kate Nichols, Chief Executive Officer of UK Hospitality, told The Telegraph that as many as 10,000 sites could shut their doors without imminent support. In a statement, she added, trading has already been hugely damaged by the steady stream of pessimistic news following the discovery of the Omicron variant, at a time when hospitality would normally expect to be making a quarter of its annual profits. We know from previous lockdowns that it causes venues to hemorrhage cash. It costs £10,000 to close each site and a subsequent £10,000 per month on overheads, and that was with full furlough and rate relief. Trading levels are so poor that the need for proportionate government support is already acute, and urgently necessary if businesses, jobs and livelihoods are to be secured. The trade body chief has urged for business rates relief and a reduction in VAT to help firms now, as well as guidance over what measures could be put in place. London's West End saw shopper numbers plunge by 17% against pre-pandemic levels over the weekend as cautious people chose to remain at home. With less than 5 days to go until Christmas Day and the probabilities of a circuit breaker lockdown increasingly on the horizon, the retail and leisure sector is now facing a huge amount of financial uncertainty when it should be enjoying a much-needed shot in the arm, said Jace Tyrrell, CEO of the New West End Company. David Page, chairman of Franco Manca owner Fulham Shore, told BBC Radio 4 that support is needed as firms are already facing a lockdown by stealth. He said, "The Chancellor, Rishi, needs to do something very, very quickly because I am not sure any of the cabinet understands cash flow. And cash flow is the problem at the moment, of the last week or two and of the next 10 days, near London, and near the city centres. These businesses have no cash flow, they are paying staff, they have got to pay their suppliers. It's a bit of a disaster area for smaller businesses over the last 2 weeks, so Rishi needs to do something in the next 24 hours, I think." Rishi Sunak is weighing up a VAT cut and cash boost for the ailing pubs and restaurants after jetting back to the UK from a long-planned California break. The Chancellor is under fire from hospitality firms having only just returned from the work trip to the US to meet tech bosses despite the threat of Omicron. Chairman of Franco Manca owners Fulham Shore David Page told the Today programme, "Chris Whitty made his statement and our sales in our 20 city-centric restaurants went down, but then our sales on the South Coast and all around England went up, exactly the same as last time. We've got a geographical spread so that helps us. I mean, if you're exposed to central London and you've only got 1 or 2 sites, then you're in trouble at the moment. Everybody's in pain at the moment. We've switched to takeaway only in some branches because of COVID. Staff are self-isolating." He went on, "I think if you want a choice of restaurants, the Chancellor needs to do something very, very quickly. I'm not sure any of the cabinet understand cash flow. And cash flow is the problem at the moment in the last week or two and over the next 10 days, and especially nearer London and nearer the city centres. These businesses have no cash flow, they're paying staff, they've got to pay their suppliers, it's a bit of a disaster area for smaller businesses." Delivery and takeaway sales for last month showed they have rocketed 97% on pre-pandemic levels. FMCG and Slurp Hospitality at Home tracker found sales in November were just 1% below 2020's figure. Delivery sales were 192% higher than in 2019, which is far higher than the 25% growth in takeaways. The research showed lockdowns and tighter controls on movement had reflected the shift. Businesses said the government has to bring in a roadmap back to normality to save the hospitality industry. Catherine McGuinness, policy chair of the City of London Corporation, said especially firms in central London are in trouble. She said, "It would have been the busiest time of year for our hospitality sector, and until last week that's what we were seeing, and it's gone dead. If you're in central London, you're in trouble and you need help very, very quickly." We've written to the Chancellor asking for support for businesses based on the number of businesses in the area. Whether that's grants, rates relief, VAT relief, we're seeing firms that really have managed to cope so far but are going to fail if this carries on. She continued, "Tell office workers to stay home may be important for health and that's vital, but this really is cutting off their demand." She added, "What they're desperate for is support. I think in a full lockdown what we would really ask for is as much clarity as government can give us about the roadmap out and look carefully at how the economy can continue to function. Let's look at the data and see if there are ways we can get people safely into the office. The sooner we can get people safely back the better." She added, "So businesses will need to adapt to the new normal when we finally get there, but what's clear to us from all that we both hear and all that we see in terms of planning applications is that the office has a future long ahead of it." Mr. Sunak is weighing up a VAT cut and cash boost for ailing pubs and restaurants suffering from the spread of Omicron. More videos. 123 Watch video. Terry Trevor Phillips recalls daughter's death discussing Partygate. Watch video. Djokovic arrives at airport ahead of deportation from Melbourne. Watch video. End of a saga, Novak Djokovic put on a plane after deportation. Watch video. Tim Henman labels Djokovic deportation from Australia shambles. Watch video. Sound of volcano blast hitting Tonga. Watch video. Oliver Dowden optimistic about Plan B lifting restrictions soon. Watch video. Giant fish usually found in warm Chilean waters turns up in Ramsgate. Watch video. Nurse in Italy gives out fake booster to those wanting green pass. Watch video. Tonga eruption, tsunami advisory leaves California beach desolate. Watch video. The live stream of Congregation Beth Israel hostage situation. Watch video. Tongans in Australia await updates from loved ones after tsunami. Watch video. Newsnight's horror video details Partygate allegations. The Chancellor is under fire from hospitality firms having only just returned from the work trip to the US to meet tech bosses. It saw Mr. Sunak dubbed California Chancellor as pictures from the UK's major cities showed only a handful of revelers enjoying festive nights out. Boris Johnson advised the nation to be cautious over the festive period, while Professor Whitty's call for people to limit their socializing caused cancellations. But Mr. Sunak returned to the UK to hold virtual talks with officials and the PM over details of a potential new bailout package. The Treasury is trying to build up a precise picture about crunch points for businesses to establish what is required, a source told The Telegraph. It comes after a report from the Tories think tank warning government bailouts have fostered a sense of entitlement and left an uphill task to restore expectations. Pubs lost all their Christmas bookings virtually overnight in the wake of government guidance to work from home due to the rising threat of Omicron. Wetherspoon boss Tim Martin also lashed out at ministers for pursuing lockdown by stealth, with pubs saying the new guidance had persuaded many punters that it was not worth going ahead with their festive gatherings. One London hotel told Mail Online it was expecting £100,000 worth of losses from cancelled events, rooms and covers, and said many staff were fearing for their jobs given the extent the industry relies on a lucrative Christmas period. The Chancellor and the Chief Secretary to the Treasury, Simon Clarke, held calls with hospitality chiefs earlier this week. Downing Street said some of the companies and organisations who took part were Prezzo, Black Sheep Brewery, Nando's, Green King, Whitbread, Adnams, the Confederation of British Industry (CBI), the Federation of Small Businesses, British Chambers of Commerce, the Federation of Wholesale Distributors and UK Hospitality. More videos. 123 Watch video. Terry Trevor Phillips recalls daughter's death discussing Partygate. Watch video. Djokovic arrives at airport ahead of deportation from Melbourne. Watch video. Tim Henman labels Djokovic deportation from Australia a shambles. Watch video. Sound of volcano blast hitting Tonga. Watch video. Oliver Dowden optimistic about Plan B lifting restrictions soon. Watch video. Giant fish usually found in warm Chilean waters turns up in Ramsgate. Watch video. Nurse in Italy gives out fake booster to those wanting green pass. Watch video. Tonga eruption, tsunami advisory leaves California beach desolate. Watch video. The live stream of Congregation Beth Israel hostage situation. Watch video. Tongans in Australia await updates from loved ones after tsunami. Watch video. Newsnight's horror video details Partygate allegations. Watch video. Serbia's Vučić compares treatment of Djokovic to torture. They have called for a fresh support package, similar to those delivered earlier in the pandemic, in order to stay afloat. But a government source told The Times it is not in the same position financially and would have to be incredibly precise about the allocation of funding. Some industry bodies have pushed for an increase in cash grants to mitigate against the losses businesses are expected to suffer over a normally busy festive period. Others are understood to have urged Mr. Sunak to revive the emergency rate of 5% VAT for hospitality and tourism firms and to reinstate the 100% business rates relief for retail companies. Mr. Sunak is said to be considering options including the fresh emergency VAT cut and additional cash boosts. The Chancellor is also considering what further help may be required if further restrictions are introduced. Meanwhile, it emerged the PM's plan to get every adult boosted by the end of the year descended into chaotic disarray. The pledge to jab 1 million adults a day has still not been hit, and it means 1 million adults must receive a booster every day, including on Christmas Day. Official figures show a daily record of 986,689 were vaccinated on Saturday, including 904,598 receiving booster jabs. More videos. 123 Watch video. Terry Trevor Phillips recalls daughter's death discussing Partygate. Watch video. Djokovic arrives at airport ahead of deportation from Melbourne. Watch video. End of a saga, Novak Djokovic put on a plane after deportation. Watch video. Tim Henman labels Djokovic deportation from Australia a shambles. Watch video. Sound of volcano blast hitting Tonga. Watch video. Oliver Dowden optimistic about Plan B lifting restrictions soon. Watch video. Giant fish usually found in warm Chilean waters turns up in Ramsgate. Watch video. Nurse in Italy gives out fake booster to those wanting green pass. Watch video. Tonga eruption, tsunami advisory leaves California beach desolate. Watch video. The live stream of Congregation Beth Israel hostage situation. Watch video. Tongans in Australia await updates from loved ones after tsunami. Watch video. Newsnight's horror video details Partygate allegations. Sajid Javid previously said 906,656 had their vaccines, with 830,000 getting boosters, but later on Sunday the figures were updated to include the higher numbers. The figures mean more than 28 million people in the UK have received a booster jab, but there are still more than 26 million people aged over 18 who are yet to have one. It means more than 2 million adults need to be vaccinated every day for the PM to hit his target, including bank holidays Christmas Day and Boxing Day. The booster crisis comes in tandem with wider COVID chaos in Downing Street over whether to lock down the country before Christmas. Mr. Johnson was under growing pressure not to impose restrictions that will ruin the festive break for the second year in a row. Tory MPs last night said any attempt to toughen rules before Christmas will provoke letters seeking to oust Mr. Johnson as party leader. The PM is reportedly considering 3 scenarios to tackle the Omicron variant, including restrictions on mixing indoors in England, a curfew on pubs and restaurants and even an immediate lockdown. And Mr. Javid yesterday refused to rule out COVID measures coming into force before Christmas Day. But ministers indicated they will not back new curbs. Rishi Sunak is understood to be arguing that they need to plot a clear route out of restrictions before they are imposed, while Liz Truss says she is uncomfortable with the current curbs. One cabinet minister has even gone as far as to say they will resign if the PM introduced another full lockdown to curb the spread of COVID-19. And in a sign of the ever-growing threat of further restrictions, Mr. Johnson, who has repeatedly insisted Christmas would not be cancelled, cleared his diary today in order to hold emergency meetings with scientists and his advisors, reports The Mirror. Britain yesterday recorded 82,886 COVID cases, with the number of infections rising by 32,473, or 64.4% in 7 days. But it is lower than Saturday's figure of 90,418. Some 45 deaths were recorded, a decrease of 66 from last week's 111 and a percentage decrease of 59.5. And cases of the Omicron variant rose by 50% in just 24 hours to 37,101 as the UK Health Security Agency confirmed a further 12,133 cases.